Texas, a state of expansive lands, open skies, and abundant waters. The landmass of Texas encompasses nearly 270,000 square miles. Over 7,300 square miles of that area is covered by water. Even Texas' distinctive profile is defined by waters. From the Gulf of Mexico, with its countless bays and estuaries, to the Sabine River, to the Red River, to the Rio Grande, and back to the Gulf of Mexico. 15 major rivers flow through Texas. Roughly 3,700 named streams call Texas home. These waterways flow through 191,000 miles of Texas landscape. Texas waters provide fish and wildlife habitat, drinking water, aquifer recharge, nourishment of watersheds and estuaries, waste assimilation, nurseries for marine and aquatic life, agricultural benefits, and recreation. The Lower Trinity Basin Chapter of Texas Master Naturalists has been serving the Liberty and Chambers County areas since our chartering in 2017. However, as you'll see in the coming minutes, our sphere of influence extends well beyond those two counties and into other parts of our ecoregion. Members of our chapter have adopted a vision for the outdoors of Texas and are committed to making a difference. That commitment has many components. During this field trip, we'll look at some of our work in providing access to our waters, protecting the wildlife in and around our waters, monitoring the quality of our waters, studying and researching our waters and the creatures that live in those waters, and the value of partnerships. If we're going to accomplish the huge task of protecting and preserving our Texas waters, we need committed individuals, groups, and organizations. Our chances of success can be greatly increased if we're able to enlist more individuals in the cause. Education and awareness activities can help to achieve this, but many people won't choose to get involved until they see for themselves the need as well as the benefit of their involvement. By providing access to previously inaccessible areas, we give more people the chance to see those needs and benefits. Two areas where Texas Master Naturalists have partnered with other organizations to improve access are Champion Lake and Turtle Bayou Nature Preserve.
My name is Lori Lomas Gonzalez. I'm a wildlife biologist with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and I'm stationed at Trinity River National Wildlife Refuge. I'm standing here at Champion Lake today. Champion Lake is our primary public use area, but we can't maintain it alone. We use partners to help us. One of our main partners is the Master Naturalist Program. I am a Lower Trinity Basin Master Naturalist, and I love the Master Naturalist Program. One of my favorite aspects about the Master Naturalist Program is that we work with partners. Master Naturalists don't just do it alone, and Trinity River National Wildlife Refuge can't do it alone. This fishing pier that we're standing here on was redecked by the Lower Trinity Basin Master Naturalists in a program with the Union Sportsman Alliance. Working with all of these volunteers together, we were the muscles and the brains, and we got it all done in one day.
Hello, my name is Ricky Simmons. I work for the Galveston Bay Foundation. I wanted to bring y'all over here to a special place called Turtle Bayou Nature Preserve. This is a 514-acre property situated a little south of I-10 off of FM 563 north of Anahuac. This property has a variety of ecosystems, anywhere from pine, hardwood forest, cypress swamps, freshwater wetlands, and salty prairie. Galveston Bay Foundation is an accredited land trust in which the purpose of this property is to protect natural habitat, restore natural drainage, maintain rural character, and to provide public access for nature-based recreation. In particular, we have some projects that are going on in this property to create better public access. One of which is the creation of a freshwater wetland. We've just put in a water control structure and converted what used to be a salty prairie into a freshwater wetland to provide habitat for migratory birds and to provide resident birds places to nest and roost. Part of our goals that we have for this property are achieved by our partners, one of which is the Texas Master Naturalists Lower Trinity Basin Chapter. We do a number of projects with them and a couple other partners such as the Union Sportsman Alliance, REI, Texas Parks and Wildlife, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. But in particular, our Master Naturalists have really created a great place for recreation by maintaining our trail systems, creating new trail systems, stewarding the land, keeping vegetation down, invasives out, construction of boardwalk through very swampy parts of this property during the wet season, regular trash cleanup and angler site maintenance. All of these things are very helpful, and we appreciate our Master Naturalists for doing so.
Hi, I'm Carl Poldrak. I'm the president of Lower Trinity Basin Chapter. So what we're standing on here is one of the biggest projects of 2020 for us, and it's a good example of partnering with like-minded organizations, I guess is the best way to put it. We're standing on Galveston Bay leased property, Turtle Bayou Nature Preserve, and beautiful piece of property. Hasn't really fully realized its potential yet for the public. So in working with them, we had been asked to work with Galveston Bay last year to do some nature walks as part of the Chambers County Gator Fest, and we got acquainted with the property and thought, you know, that's a piece of property that we'd kind of like to take on as a chapter and really try to build public access. And so Ricky Simmons, who's the steward for the property, said, look, we've got a boardwalk that needs to be completed. And we came out and looked at it. It's a bit far out in the preserve in a wetland area. And so we thought, well, we could get involved with that. It turns out that several organizations were part of this. REI had given Galveston Bay Foundation a grant, $12,500 or so. And a year ago, a group of volunteers had come out and had started the boardwalk, worked a couple of weeks on it, and had stopped, and it just lay fallow, and there was a lot of materials left. So we decided that we would finish it out as much as we could and get going with it. And as we came out and started planning out the logistics and what we needed to do, we realized that this was a pretty significant project in a bottomland hardwood. Water was an issue, and what we might be able to put together as a boardwalk probably needed a little more experience and science and design to it. So we spent some time learning how to build boardwalk in wetlands, and realized even still we probably needed to partner with some other folks. And fortunately for us, another one of our partner organizations, the Trinity River National Wildlife Refuge, had done some work on their refuge in coordination with the Union Sportsman Alliance, which is a group of union sportsmen who volunteer time to build public access for nature. And so we got in contact with them, and they were very excited to help us. They had been looking for a project in this area. After they had worked with the wildlife refuge, they wanted to do some more. And so they very quickly signed on with us, and they had a bunch of experienced boardwalk builders, if you will. And so what turned into a bit of advanced training, if you will, as a volunteer project quickly came together. And so we got out here in February of this year, and it was a bit of a challenge because there was plenty of water. It was very muddy. We ended up working in mud up to our knees, building boardwalk, and demonstrating ourselves the whole time while it was necessary, perhaps. But we worked for a couple weekends getting ready. It's a pretty good slog out to where we were going to be building the boardwalk. And the day came, we had about a half dozen of our volunteers and about 10 or 12 Union Sportsman Alliance experts here, and in 2 days' time we were able to build about 160 feet of boardwalk, much as you see here, in rather strenuous conditions, if you will, but it certainly added much public access to Turtle Bayou. We've still got plenty left to do. Figure we got about another 300 feet or so of boardwalk that we would like to complete as time goes on, but what we have now has definitely increased the opportunity for folks to be able to enjoy this beautiful piece of property. And it's all done with the help of partners, Galveston Bay Foundation, Union Sportsman Alliance, and Lower Trinity Basin Chapter.
Other ways that the Lower Trinity Basin Chapter has helped out Trinity River National Wildlife Refuge is through our Trails program. We have an extensive network of trails, 38 miles of trails. I'm able to manage it through the help of volunteers.
The economic value of sport fishing in Texas is measured in the billions of dollars. Gone are the days of a cane pole, a cotton string line, and a lucky rabbit's foot. Now, anglers have the advantages of electronic fish finders, specialized boats, and monofilament line that can last hundreds of years. There are numerous laws that regulate seasons, equipment used, bag limits, and the size of fish that can be kept, but the disposal of unwanted fishing line is difficult to regulate.
Another partnership that we've had is with Texas Sea Grant. Through the Master Naturalist program, we got connected to Texas Sea Grant, which has a monofilament recycling program. Out here at Champion Lake, we have a lot of fishermen, a lot of anglers out here, and a lot of times they're actually collecting trash from other anglers that left knots of fishing line behind. With Texas Sea Grant's monofilament recycling program, we are able to help our natural resources stay clean by having that receptacle for all of that fishing line. And not only that, it also helps the wildlife. We don't have to worry about fish getting stuck. We don't have to worry about alligators consuming that monofilament line. It's good for our natural resources.
Howdy, I'm Nikki Fitzgerald. I'm with Texas A&M AgriLife and Texas Sea Grant. I'm a coastal marine extension agent, and I'm here today to talk to you about the amazing things that the Lower Trinity Master Naturalist program has been doing. They've been helping a lot with our watershed education programs, and they've also been helping with the Wildlife Expo Beach program that we had back in January and February. The program was designed to basically teach youth how to clean up the trash off of beaches to make sure that the shoreline birds and turtles have a safe place to nest. Another program that they have been really helping with is our Texas Monofilament Recycling and Recovery program. This program is designed to keep fishing line out of our waterways and to help our animals from being entangled in a fishing line that could harm the animals and fish and birds and things like that. Did you know that monofilament line actually can last 600 years in our environment? So our Master Naturalist here in Chambers County has been putting up these monofilament recycling bins in our county. They've actually put at least 5 new ones just this year. And just this year, they've collected 10 pounds of recycling fishing line. And this fishing line hopefully will stay out of our waterways and keep all of our fish and animals safe.
Good morning. My name is John McConnell. I'm a county extension agent for Coastal Marine Resources, and I work in Missouri County. But this morning I'm at Roseland Park in Baytown on Cedar Bayou. And I'm here to talk about the monofilament recovery and recycling program, where volunteers take used fishing line and collect it and then send it in to be recycled. A lot of people don't know that the Texas Monofilament Recovery and Recycling Program began in 2004, and it actually started by a group of fourth graders in Port Aransas, Texas, that had seen a lot of used fishing line along the jetties and on the beach, and they wanted to do something about it. So they spoke to their teacher, and she contacted the state office of the Texas Sea Grant program at Texas A&M University, and from there I decided to coordinate the effort and help those students out, and we put up the very first bin in 2004 at the South Jetties, Port Aransas. From there, other school groups got involved, and then volunteers began to contact me, and we spread it out. So one of the larger groups where volunteers are involved is the Texas Master Naturalist Program. And back in the early days of this program, I conducted several presentations at their state meeting, and that helped spread the word and get volunteers involved. So today we have roughly 300 bins spread around the entire state of Texas. The most current ones are up in Wichita Falls, Texas, that's being sponsored by the Rolling Plains chapter of the Master Naturalist Program. And then right here in Baytown with the Lower Trinity Basin, they recently started this effort.
My name is Tammy Edwards, and I'm with the Lower Trinity Basin Master Naturalist Group, and we are working on the filament recycling. It's a very passionate thing for me because I've experienced what it can do when it's just thrown into the water. Me and a girlfriend of mine were walking on the beach one day, and we found two of the biggest, most beautiful green turtles, and they were dead because of getting hung up in the line, and it cuts on their fins and flippers. They can't swim, and infection sets in, and it's a really sad situation. We encountered a beautiful Ridley turtle, and they're still endangered, and it had some serious injuries to it, and we tried to get a hold of somebody and couldn't to come help that turtle. We also had an encounter with a pelican that got caught up in line. We were going down the National Seashore in the Corpus area, and he got hung up in the line, and you could tell that the waves were going over him, and he wasn't riding them. So we stopped and carefully got him free from the line, and he flew away.
Very few of us go for any length of time without somehow connecting to our Texas waters. In most cases, those encounters include the appreciation and pleasure these waters can provide. What most of us fail to consider is the health and quality of those waters. Viewed from the surface, a body of water may appear clean, refreshing, and productive. However, without some standard by which to measure the quality of the water, there's almost no way to know how healthy it is. Enter the Texas Stream Team and the Galveston Bay Foundation Water Quality Monitoring Program. These organizations maintain a membership of trained and dedicated volunteers that assess and record various measures of the health and quality of waters at designated locations.
Hi everyone, my name is Nick Ellis, Water Quality Programs Coordinator of Galveston Bay Foundation, and today I just want to tell you a little bit about all the help that the Lower Trinity Basin Texas Master Naturalists have done for our organization over the years. They've been involved in everything from our large marsh planting events, such as Marsh Mania. They've devoted countless hours to things like Bay Day, They are also heavily involved in things like the Turtle Bayou Restoration Project, as well as one of my big programs, the water monitoring team. The Lower Trinity Basin Master Naturalists have made up about 20% of our volunteer workforce over the years for the water monitoring team. They have collected countless water quality samples all around the bay, as well as bacteria samples, and delivering those to our in-house lab. This year alone have made up about 30% of our entire volunteer hours that we have recorded due to the pandemic and things being slow these days.
In the Galveston and Trinity Bay systems, there are 65 monitoring sites. Sites vary greatly around the bay system. After rigorous training, each volunteer or team of volunteers is issued a kit with everything necessary to perform the required tests. First, a sample is collected. Then, several initial conditions are observed and recorded. Weather conditions, surface quality, depth, visibility, odor, clarity, color, and temperature. Checklists and step-by-step instructions are used to ensure proper scientific procedures are followed. Safety measures are taken and appropriate personal protective equipment is utilized. Precisely measured samples are carefully drawn. Several chemicals are added to the samples. A specified method of agitation is followed. Titrations are performed to determine the level of dissolved oxygen contained in the water. Another sample is drawn and adjusted to the correct volume. A chemical is added and mixed into the sample. The sample is compared to a color chart to determine the pH. Yet another sample is drawn. With the use of a hygrometer and a thermometer, the salinity of the water is determined. All data is recorded. The data sheet is then submitted for compilation into that specific site's historical database. But we're also committed to research about the creatures that live in and around our Texas waters.
My name is Kelly Nord. I'm an urban wildlife biologist with Texas Parks and Wildlife Diversity Program. Me and my colleague cover our greater Houston area, and I am the advisor for the Gulf Coast Chapter and the Lower Trinity Basin Chapter. Here in the Houston Wildlife Office, we utilize Texas Master Naturalists for a variety of projects that we have going on. Two of which we really have utilized the Lower Trinity Basin Chapter on recently have been a coyote diet survey and alligator snapping turtle research that were going on in Buffalo Bayou. If you're not aware of Buffalo Bayou is a major water thoroughfare through the city of Houston's most urban core. In an 11-mile stretch of Buffalo Bayou, our partnership with the Turtle Survival Alliance has found 85 alligator snapping turtles within this region. We have tagged 10. These 10 turtles have been tagged with what are called a pit tag, and that is a tag with an identification number on it. These 10 turtles have also been equipped with a VHF radio tag. By using receivers, we're able to keep track of how these animals move through the bayou system.
My name's Drew Nealon. I was the 2020 summer intern with Texas Parks and Wildlife, working for the Houston Urban Wildlife Office. I'm a grad student at Sam Houston State. This internship was a really cool opportunity to get some field experience while still being in grad school. And it gave me the opportunity to work with a lot of really cool people. The Master Naturalists helped out a lot with a bunch of our projects that we had going on. One in particular involved the alligator snapping turtles in Buffalo Bayou. So several years ago, sightings of alligator snapping turtles in Houston started to rise, and researchers started to notice that there could possibly be a pretty large population of alligator snapping turtles in Buffalo Bayou right here in the middle of Houston. So Texas Parks and Wildlife, some other agencies and some other organizations got together and came up with a project, working with the Turtle Survival Alliance. Texas Parks and Wildlife went out, caught a bunch of alligator snapping turtles, and one, put pit tags in them so that if they were caught again later, we could identify them, and they also tagged 10 turtles with radio telemetry tags. So that's kind of what we're doing here today, is we're going to get our radio telemetry equipment, we're going to try to locate those turtles, see how much they moved since the last time they were located, and that's what we've been doing all summer. That's what our Master Naturalists have been helping us out, volunteering for this project. We get in the kayak, we paddle down Buffalo Bayou, look for the signal from those turtles with the radio telemetry tags, and we mark their location. This project has had some pretty cool results. Our data has shown that Houston has the largest recorded urban population of alligator snapping turtles in the United States. So that means that right here in the middle of downtown Houston, a really, really urban environment, we have this huge population of these really cool creatures that can live like over 100 years and be almost 200 pounds, just these massive prehistoric looking creatures living right here in downtown Houston. 10 of them have radio telemetry tags. A couple of those tags have fallen off, but I believe we still have 8 that have active radio telemetry tags that we're going to be looking for on Buffalo Bayou.
Not all of our projects are water-based, but they do involve partners.
The Lower Trinity Basin Master Naturalists have also been instrumental in maintaining our butterfly garden. Actually, now it's called a pollinator garden because as a Master Naturalist, we recognize that pollinators just aren't butterflies. They're also bees, wasps, hummingbirds, other insects, bats even. And so we've gone ahead and taken this garden that actually had some non-native plants in it, taken out those plants, and using that know-how and all of that education that the Master Naturalist program has instilled in our members, we looked at the plants and assessed what should we add in, what can we change, how can we make our garden more native. And by doing that, we've improved habitat not only for our pollinators, who do a service for us, but also for the public because they get to go and enjoy the pollinator garden as well. They get to sit there, look at the pollinators up close, enjoy that time in nature, sitting in a bench, relaxing, and occasionally pulling a fruit off the trees for themselves as well. Through the Master Naturalist program, we have also had other partners, younger partners. A large portion of the Texas Master Naturalist program is getting young people involved. And one way we were able to do that was through our Arbor Day projects. In the chapter, we grow about 500 trees per year so that we can plant these native trees on public lands. This includes schools, churches, also libraries, any public lands, and especially our municipal parks. And at our municipal park, the Boy Scouts from the local troops went ahead and joined us so that we could plant out there. So not only is it our chapter members who get involved, but we also try and get other partners involved, particularly the young people.
One of the other very important projects that Texas Parks and Wildlife or Houston Urban Wildlife Office is involved with is the Urban Coyote Diet Survey. Basically what we're doing is we are taking scat samples from across the greater Houston area from very urban areas to suburban and exurban areas. In order to get enough samples, we really need to have a lot of volunteers, and that's where the Lower Trinity Basin Chapter has really stepped up and helped remarkably with this project.
We had a couple projects going this summer. We had one looking at the diet of urban coyotes. Volunteers would go out and they'd pick up any coyote scats they saw. They would bag it, mark it with a location code and the date and things like that. They'd bring it to the office and we would hold on to them until the end of the summer, and then we had some volunteers also come out and help us go through our samples. We would look for like bones, fur, feathers, anything that could indicate what that coyote ate, and then at the end we would pull all that data together, and we have a pretty clear picture of what the diet of an urban coyote looks like. We were really, really grateful to have the Master Naturalists help because they collected a majority of our samples.
The Master Naturalist Program has also been involved with Trinity River National Wildlife Refuge by helping us with our infrastructure, and not just the Champion Lake Redecking Project, but also our Champion Lake lodges. We have lodges that are from the 1940s. These 80-year-old lodges are beautiful, but they've fallen into disrepair, and it's very expensive to maintain these. But because of our partnership with the Master Naturalist Program and also the Friends of Trinity River National Wildlife Refuge, we've been able to start working on these lodges and start restoring them little by little by little.
Hello, I'm Gary Holmes. I'm a brand new Texas Master Naturalist. I've just finished my certification course and all my certification course this summer. I'm a member of the Friends of the Trinity River Refuge, and this is our Champion Lake Lodge project, in which the Lower Trinity Basin Chapter is one of our partners to help us restore the lodge. So the lodge is a 1940s log hunting lodge which was built by Champion Paper Company. Since then it's become part of the Trinity River National Wildlife Refuge. It's been empty for the last 20 years and we're trying to restore it and repurpose it into an environmental education center. So far the Master Naturalist has been one of the main groups that helped us with the restoration. And once we get it finished, we have an environmental education program that the Master Naturalists are going to be one of the key partners in the environmental education program where we're trying to work with the kids in Liberty and Chambers County.
One of our stated goals as Master Naturalists is to provide outreach and education to the public. We can interact directly with folks at events such as the Liberty County Jubilee. Temporary tattoo application is often laced with monarch education. And to spark their interest in nature, we give children the opportunity to hold ducklings or dig for earthworms. As Master Naturalists, we should be ready to interpret our passion for the natural world around us.
I'm Celia Sterling Tomlinson. I am a Texas Master Naturalist. I am a part of the very first class of the Lower Trinity Basin Chapter. I am interested in interpreting the natural world to people. Everybody has a different interest. Flowers, birds, bugs, weather, trees. So many things in nature that if we could just get people interested a little bit in one part, then we've got them. And I think we're better able to protect what we have.
Texas waters are incredibly valuable. Master Naturalists are ardent advocates on the front line in protecting the waters of our state. As members of the Lower Trinity Basin Chapter of Texas Master Naturalists, we have committed to maintaining partnerships which extend our reach and expand our influence as we work to preserve and protect the natural resources of our state.